accounts payable.
The unpaid accounts payable for the month was $370,055. The total accounts payable for the month was $416,504. There's not any construction funds.
Right now, I need a motion to accept it.
I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable.
Second.
All in favor?
I
have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
How do we approve them when they were mailed out, mailed out?
I know, this was a bad situation, so I went ahead and helped sign some too, and we didn't want to get behind so bad, but I didn't like it, but we had to do it, so we wouldn't be behind.
I know, but that's against the law.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't like it either, but that's the way we did it, so that we wouldn't be in trouble with our debt.
So because it's against the law, you're gonna say that's the way we did it?
No, ma'am, not at all.
I mean, I'm not mad at you,
I know.
I'm just very upset.
But Sherry needed it, and everybody else needed it,
Well-
so we went ahead and did it.
Don't say Sherry needed it. Don't blame it on anybody.
I'm not. I'm blaming it on me, because
No,
I
it's
said
a
to go
fact.
ahead and do it.
It's a fact.
Okay.
But by every law in the state of Texas, you don't mail out checks without being approved,
Yes,
much
ma'am.
less 400,000.
Yes, ma'am.
God, you have a comment?
About the account,
About signing and mailing all those checks without being approved.
well, as I told you, you all have a language in your statute about how it can be done. I will tell you this, we had probably 5 entities that all ended up ratifying the bills in arrears because of the storm, because all 5 had canceled their meetings and would have had either accounts or the, not paid on time.
Well, technically, we could have had the meeting,
Well, that was up to the board,
but we couldn't.
but it didn't happen, that's all.
Well,
I wanted to have the meeting, but it was just a bad day. It was frozen. It was in danger, so.
Well, everybody came back to work at noon.
I know.
I guess we said this is not a practice.
I agree, Dorothy. I didn't like that.
But there are always unusual circumstances, and there are entities that have just gone back and ratified bills.
I believe that we consulted Guy about it, and he said we could do it, so,
Well, I said you had to ratify it if you couldn't have your meeting in time to pay.
So you gave them permission.
I didn't give up.
No, she did not. It's my fault.
Entities will ratify these because they did. And like you said, the board is the board pleasure to conduct the meeting or not. The meeting was canceled, and so it was just a circumstance that had to be met.
Okay, one more time.
Yes, ma'am.
By having the one meeting, we put ourselves behind the eight ball like this.
Yes, ma'am.
If you go back to TCQ, their suggestion is a finance committee made up of 3 board members. They meet the first meeting, first week of the month. They sit there with the invoices in an open meeting. They go through them. They sit there and pay them right then. It's all legal at that point. Then you have your business meeting after your bookkeeper or accountant
Right.
gets all your bank statements. Isn't that what they do at the beach?
That's what Bolivar does, yes. Bolivar has several committees, as does Raymond. Some.
But it eliminates what we just went through.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm thinking that we need to do this. I would like to see this on the agenda to handle so we don't go through this again. I mean, the 5 of us have a big responsibility as taxpayers.
Sure it is.
And you got almost $500 million going out, not approved.
I know, I agree.
And that's not a liability at all.
Right. Yes, ma'am. We can talk about that at a later date, and we can put it on the agenda, or wherever you care to do.
I care to fix it, whatever it takes to be
Yes,
fixed.
ma'am. I know that this is one of the first times we had this, because the meeting was postponed because of bad weather and everything else. and I apologize for that. It was a decision I made, and I stand
I'm
by
not
it.
asking you to take the blame as board president.
I don't mind.
It is a problem,
I got a big back.
but instead of, no, you're missing my point. Instead of taking the blame, let's start now, though, we're gonna have.
In case it happens again.
Right.
Okay.
We take government money and we got to follow through.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand that.
But there's.
And Darcy's got a good point. I heard. All right. Moving on to item number 8. Review and consider adopting resolution 1801 to amend 2017-18 fiscal budget by revising the general fund for the transfer of water and sewer funding for the first phase of the Winnie sewer collection system rehabilitation.
Basically, we moved the money from the CD account to the general fund, but we didn't do a resolution to move it from the general fund into the water fund. That way we could actually pay the bills. So basically, we followed up with it, move it one more time.
I make a motion to amend resolution 1801 to revising the general fund for the transfer to the water and sewer phase fund, I can't read, I'm sorry, for the first phase of the system rehab.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor? And that keeps us all legal and proper. And that's the right way to do it. And item number 9, review and consider accepting a sanitary sewer easement from Leger Productions to serve the Winnie Veterinary Clinic.
As you all see down there, they're building a new veterinary clinic and everything. And you can see on the map here, there's no sewer line except in front of Jack in the Box. So basically, whenever they built the hotel on I-10, they ran it across the pasture. So I asked Leger if they would give me an easement along their fence so I could get back out to the highway. And instead of having to go all the way back through town and 15 driveways and everything else, nothing needs to be served from the back there anyway. So Leger agreed to let us have an easement there. I got Mr. Henry to do the surveying and stuff for us, and this is to serve the veterinary clinic.
Yes, this keeps everything where our people can get to it
It
easily.
was in
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion
You need
to
to.
accept the sanitary sewer easement for that big production service. Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
This is.
Item number 10, consider and possible action adopting
Well, but,
2017 revised policy manual.
so can you go back to him?
They didn't change.
I think
I could agree.
Sure.
They didn't put in the change we agreed to in the last meeting.
I don't see where they didn't, because
Well-
both Elliot and Mr. Guy worked on this thing.
Then if you play the tape, there was 4 things we all agreed
There was 4 things said there.
to. Well, we agreed we would vote on it
Right.
if it was arrived just like that. And one of them was a nepotism, and we agreed on a nepotism, would follow the
TCEQ.
Texas government code and go by what that says on Texas government code on that.
Right.
I think y'all all remember that, and it was, and we want to take the board out of it. In several places, there, the board's responsible for harassment and all that. Now, if I harass somebody, how are you gonna attack me? I mean, it said board members also. And if one of these guys says something to somebody, how are you gonna attack them? No, it hasn't been. I mean, I read this thing,
Yes, sir.
and no, it hasn't been.
Well, I read it the way that Guy and Elliot put it, and I think the way they did it
People play
was
the
fine.
tapes, that's not what we agreed on.
Right,
I mean, if you will play the tape, and we got the tapes,
right.
and Gary's got a copy of them right now, and that's not what we agreed on in that meeting. We said, we would agree to vote on this, all 4 of us, if these 4 things would change.
Right.
Okay, and it didn't get changed.
Didn't you make the changes?
Yes, sir. Let me go back to that statistic, because that seems to be one that has a
Problem.
concern. Prior blatant policy, remember, this is the HR policy, this is not the constitutional conflicts that exist as board members to staff that are in the Constitution or in the local government code. I couldn't find in the TCQ that it had any policy relative to nepotism as to employees. The policy that I found in the TCQ manual had to do with the same recitation that's in the Constitution and the local government code as to board members, not staff. Now, if someone has a reference
But
that
the board members technically hire, so.
no, the manager hires, he's in charge of hiring. So, what I'm saying is, there was no TCEQ statute to incorporate into here or reference, because that has to do with board conflicts. So, this was a created part of your new policy, okay? It was not in the prior blanket policy. So, based on the conversation I heard and when I wrote down, I deleted the words that in there, which I believe I heard would limit the possibility of some local hires in a small community where there are necessarily a lot of family relationships. So this is the wording that I changed and sent back out because there was not a TCQ rule that fits into an HR policy.
Have you read what he changed here?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I have. And
Because what he said, in my opinion, it doesn't hurt anybody that protects us.
I've also read several other policy manuals that just say in one simple language, they will not have any nepotism. Period. I mean, one simple one.
But in a small town, we can't do that.
Well, they're doing it in Fort Lauderdale. And that's a small thing.
Well, you mean you can't do it in a small town?
Because we have cousins and brothers and everything, how they can affect them?
Well, I think it mainly concerns nepotism would be between your board and your supervisors, and you don't have that many. We're doing it
But then
today.
you need to say that, you don't need to say that there's no policy at all.
Well,
Because this could be
You know what?
construed to hurt some of the people that are
No.
working for us.
If you
Yes,
look-
it can. And I don't like that.
it cannot hurt a person working here today.
It's, I don't know.
If you've got two clerks and they're side by side,
Right.
they're sisters, it doesn't matter. Because they're not Alex's get votes or Sherry's get votes, whoever's over, or David's or Jerry's, so it's not nepotism.
I believe that Goodson's, the way they finally wrote this policy, it won't affect anybody. It won't affect Jeffrey, it won't affect Sherry, it won't affect any of the Davis boys, it won't.
No, it won't,
Okay.
but I think it's too much, but anyway, whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a question. The raises was changed, getting no raise during probation, probation. And then it was put back. I mean, we have 10 manuals we've gone through in the last year, and it switches every time. If they can't get a raise, they're in their probationary period, or they can't get a raise, it goes back and forth.
Well,
And your last one says they can.
and that's exactly the note I wrote from the.
I thought we agreed they could.
During the probation.
So they can get hired, and 3 weeks later, they can get the yearly raise. But they're not even full-time from that,
That's the
until
way
that
it
period's
is.
over.
That's the way it is now.
I know, and I don't think that's right.
Well, that's the comment that I wrote, because there were two comments about whether people, there were two comments that were discussed almost exactly at the same time.
Right.
That one and the one we deleted the one that had been in there where you all were supposed to, employees who had formal written warnings are not eligible for salary increases,
That one,
promotion during the warning period. So both the probationary and the warning were discussed at the same time, and the road plan I know was that we were to delete both of those references. So both of those,
okay,
that's why we redlined and sent them out, because
wow,
when the conversation, what I wrote down, was both of those clauses, both of those two sections, as to both probationary employees and people that were subject to a disciplinary written warning period, where those two clauses were being eliminated, that they would not be eligible.
I have a request
So-
of you right now. Mike or to Alex. And I'm really, and I've noticed it's gotten worse, and I'm guilty. But I really wish, when we're conducting business, if one person this talk gets interrupted, you would stop it.
Well, you will actually, I'm not the proctor of the board, that's the chair.
I'm gonna appoint you proctor.
That's the chair,
Well-
you know, so, you know, I don't set the rules of conduct of the board or how the meetings are made. That's done by the Open Meetings Act and by what the chair. What I'm saying is that I wrote this down because the two were discussed separately, and they were talked about at the same time. And what I wrote down, and I'm happy that Alex has said something different, is that I was to delete that inability to consider them. It doesn't say they can get them, it just basically now says they may be eligible for it. But again, I have no dog in that fight. And that was really a board decision, either both under 415 and the other section on probationary employees, whether they are entitled to any increases in pay, salary, benefits, bonuses, while they are either on probation or during a written disciplinary period. It's up to the board.
Right.
And I think the only question that you raised at that time is if it's a COLA. Let's say the guy's been here 4 months, and basically in October, everybody got a 3% raise, and should this person get a 3% raise also, or are they still on a 6-month probationary period?
That's the board.
That was the point that was brought up, I think, is where the confusion came in.
I believe you already
All you gotta do is settle that yes or no.
Right.
Back to the other discussion. If God can't police this, let's all kind of, right now, make a vow not to try to interrupt each other. Because I don't know how Alex ever gets the minutes out. I mean, we're being very rude to her.
But again, in 415 to 145, that's the pleasure of the board. Those two sentences where we alter the words are exactly what I wrote down from what I heard. And I'm not saying that there was intent to do otherwise, but look, this is easy. You're saying this in 145, no, we don't want them to be eligible for raises and or non-medical benefits during that probationary period. That's adding 2 words back that we just deleted. So that's easy, and the same on 450, on period, disciplinary warning periods, because the way I heard you change it is that you didn't necessarily, somebody could get a warning for an action over here if a benefit accrues in a period thereafter, but during that, you're on a disciplinary warning for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, that raise, let's say, benefit comes in that period, it did not prohibit them from participating because of the disciplinary warning, even though it occurred during the period. That's what I wrote down. That's y'all, the pleasure of the board. Y'all get to decide. It's 145 if you want to look at it, and 415 are the 2 clauses. And I went back and double checked them against this before I sent this thing out and all that. Because, you know, again, Elliot's comment to me, because I let him look at these afterwards too, he said, it's unusual, but he said, I understand, because I told him the very comment that Jerry made then, was that what if the raise period comes up and the person's in their disciplinary period or in their probationary period? And he said, well, again, that's a policy decision from the board. And again, it's not a tit for tat, this is your decision.
Okay, I have a suggestion to simplify. If they were just hired, they took the job at that price. You earn a raise to me by working here. So, my opinion is, I would like to see nobody in the probationary period, which hasn't even got medical insurance yet, to be eligible to get a raise. They haven't worked 3 months, or they'd be off of
Now
that
you're at
period.
3%, like in that certain scenario we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, the discipline you give an employee is the discipline that you give them that day. I don't think it carries on for infinity that they don't get anything else.
Well, let me
Isn't
go
that,
back.
I don't want to talk over anybody, but the thing about it is, isn't that already at the discretion of the manager and the board? Already, even with this new policy?
I just give a sidebar, because this is, you know, Elliot and I are not trying to continue to add things. But one thing, if you go to 145, look at that real quick, let me just ask y'all to do that, because it says, now, during the probationary period, as here described, employees are, before it said not, and said, now it says are eligible. What we talked about is, and again, this is after the meeting, so we're not the board, we don't get to make this decision. But one thing, again, I discussed was, what if you just go back to the way you had it during the probationary period, as here described? Employees are not eligible for the raises or benefits. And just put the not back in, because in our opinion, again, this is just as your counsel, they're only not eligible during that period. So the 3% raise wouldn't kick in until after the probation period. They'd still be eligible employees, just because the 3% raise, basically, they're just not eligible to receive it, and we can put that, are not eligible to receive. That was a suggestion that he and I bounced for, to receive raises or non-medical benefits.
Are we getting?
Just to add words,
That's much closer.
just to receive.
It's closer.
Huh?
It's closer.
Okay, so we would change it, and I'll read the last sentence, I want to be sure. So that if I write this down and send y'all a redacted correction page, it would write, during the probationary period as here described, employees are not eligible to receive raises or non-medical benefits. So that just ties it to that probationary period.
And then right after that, they can get it.
And you can say the same thing if you want to at 415, which again, and again, I just, again, I'm sorry that we had a meeting, we missed a meeting, but right in 415, what we deleted in that last sentence, I'm just reading it again, y'all can see it. Employees have formal written warnings are not eligible for salary increases, bonuses, promotions during written period. We can add again the words are not eligible to receive. So we just add those two words, to receive, and so all, it doesn't mean if the bonus runs for another period, it just means that if that bonus is right in that period only, they're not eligible to receive it during that warning period. But again, one's with probationary and one with warning, and y'all may not think that to receive word would be appropriate in those circumstances, but that was just a thought that we had. If the idea was not to grant probationary employees the right to receive something and not into people during that period, but again, let me explain. When you give up a warning, the warning right now is the disciplinary action. This basically, as Elliot and I talked, is when you are not granting that pay during that disciplinary period, that's additional disciplinary action in effect. So what Elliot said, and I agree 100%, that's not a legal issue. You can do that, but you just cannot apply it discriminatorily. You cannot, once you do this for one, anybody that's in a disciplinary period,
Keep that.
and is not eligible for it, it applies to everyone. So, lowest man or woman on the totem pole to the highest. So all he said was, and I'm reading his exact note, because he and I talked, not a legal issue as long as not applied discriminatorily. And I'm talking about 145, the second sentence, on the written warning. So again, we can tweak 145 and receive, because it sounds like the board wants to do that, happy to do that, and put it back to a not received during the probationary period. But on this one, we just really want to make sure what the board wants to do, because again, during that disciplinary period, you disciplined them, and that basically makes it subject to additional disciplinary action. Not allowing them to participate in these is additional discipline. And you just got to do it on a non-discriminatory basis.
But when an employee is written up, discipline, there's no date when that expires, so what is your disciplinary period?
No, we're talking about, this one says in a formal written warning are not eligible for increases during that warning period. So this necessarily...
So is that warning period 1 day or 1 year?
The warning period is whatever's in the warning. If there's no warning period, it's just over. You just got the warning. You were found mishandling equipment, and so we're writing you up for a warning. that means that that is an action that can then lead to subsequent action in your progressive discipline. I've warned you on misuse of equipment. That gives me the right to take more action against you if you do the same in a second. It doesn't say it's, I'm gonna, you wrote you up and you're only under the gun, but disciplinary actions can be time-based. People can put time-based for disciplinary action.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if they don't.
Well, and I'm not saying that you have or haven't, I'm just saying, this says for the warning period. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna specify period, and if it doesn't, then it just basically means, it doesn't mean infinite. That really, a warning, on something like I said, basically gives the supervisor an opportunity to come back with additional disciplinary action if the same infraction occurs again.
I still think there's other ways to get discipline besides freezing somebody's wages.
I'm perfectly fine. I mean, you can leave, we took it out because right now they would not be eligible. And so we struck through that because that's what I heard the board say. They did not want to make that additional
I don't want
action
to
against
treat,
employee. The warning
I'm
was
sorry.
enough.
I don't want to treat our employees that way.
I mean, when will the warnings come off? I think we have no date.
Well, you just said if they're dated.
If they're dated, they're not.
But right now, you all have struck that so they would be eligible.
Right.
So right now,
Leave it alone.
we took that out so it stays out unless someone tells me otherwise.
May I say something?
Yeah, we got 3 people sitting in front of us, be out for a raise.
I don't know if anybody that hadn't got the raise or
Right.
rejected anybody.
I've been a new,
There were old stuff, nobody's ever been denied a raise.
well, you couldn't with the Atlanta book, it wasn't in there, but it would be in this.
Right
Yeah,
now, we've got 3 people
Go
sitting
ahead.
in front, you can't get a raise.
like I say, I mean, I
No,
don't know if
it's been
anybody
taken
that
out,
hasn't
it's
got
okay
it.
the way it is.
Oh, it's taken out.
It's taken out.
Okay.
And normally, the way something like that works is that in the next evaluation or something, and that's when you make a determination that this guy rolled the vehicle and tore it all up and how bad the consequences was, and that's whenever you make the determination or whether they would get an extra job. But everybody's getting a COLA, so it's not really hadn't been an issue, so. Anyway, no problem, whatever the board wants to do.
On this nepotism measure, in other words,
Wait,
you can't use the state.
There's not a state policy on HR.
I mean, you could use the state policy, whatever.
The state policy applies to you, and there's not one for employee.
We're
There's not
on
a state
the
policy. There's not a TCQ policy.
I mean.
That's what I said, we could go use a TCQ policy because there's not one as to the relationship as
Is
to
there
the employee.
another policy around that is better
Well, I don't think so, because they only approved this one.
okay?
We took the second part out, which I think gave rise to some concern because of the possibility of family, because otherwise it said, we took out because this, at least the way I read it, and Elliot now reads it, is that he said, I understand you're talking about a small community where there is a possibility of family members working in an organization. He and I agree that the superior subordinate issue becomes a problem, but that's not, that's still, you can address that through this policy, but, again, you did not have a problem, a policy at all in Blakeman prior.
Right, this is something good that's been added. I think it's necessary, and most of our disciplinary action is days off or something like that. It doesn't come with time. Once the day's off, it doesn't. So there's nothing that's time oriented. No. That was something I wanted to say. Didn't want to be rude, talk over everybody.
I have another question.
I read one policy man that said we will not participate in that period, in one line. One
Yeah, I think we've argued the damn thing over enough. I'll make a motion that we accept the new policy.
Wait. You can make the motion, but we still get a
You want me
decision.
to talk about harassment? If you get harassed, I mean.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have one more question. And it's technical, but it needs to be cleaned up. Section 475, smoking and tobacco. It's a new one, it's a nice paragraph, I think it's needed. Outside in designated areas during breaks. But there's no verbiage in our manual about breaks. But that paragraph goes on to say, you can be fired for not following the non-existent rule. So, if you're gonna threaten somebody with firing them, you need to set up how many breaks they get and how long they work. Or take that out.
I'd take out words during breaks and just in designated areas.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
I mean, that's much more, but I'm perfectly happy if you want to, we can delete that.
How many changes have you got?
Right now, I'm leaving the language, in, 415.
Right.
I'm taking the language out, I'm adding words to receive in 145, and I'm taking the words during breaks out of 470.
145, and taking the words out of 470?
475, the word during break, so it just says, employees may smoke outside in designated areas.
So that's only 145 and 475?
Yes, and.
Just want to make all this clear.
Yeah, and the last thing, the only other thing I wanted to add is, I wrote down, again, I know there was a lot of discussion, I appreciate the staff's input on guidelines for vacation. Elliot, and I sent this out, in the last correction, said that he felt that that I was a little verbose, Major Waters, telling him no more than that. And so his redacted language is in this last paragraph. And I just want to make sure I was happy with that. It seems fine to me. It captures that this came to the board as a separate document this week. But I wanted everybody to be happy with it because, again, this is the board policy. And I think those who read it, I'm happy to hear from you.
I read it, it was good.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that, so the only other change I would add from what I sent out the other day is to put this in, it was in red line, just like Elliot edited it. And this is again on the guidelines for that maximum vacation policy and how that's worked off David's 10-year period, et cetera. A request that we put back in.
I have one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I went through this thing with a fine tooth comb. I took the one that we haven't talked in now that we're using.
Yes, ma'am.
I cut it up and I put it in the last one we got from Guy. And then I compared it to the one we got from Blakeman. So we're actually, and then the newest one. 4 I compared. Blakeman, when Jerry sent it off to Blakeman the first time, they added some new stuff that was good, very good. But they also removed 9 topics that we originally had in there. It comes back from Blakeman and it goes to Garmer. Garmer removed 5 full topics.
Right.
And that bothers me.
With that workshop we had, that was what we came out of it with it.
No. It had nothing to do with that. No. The workshop we had 2 pages of questions. And I'm not complaining, but you never got back with me on the memo. I sent it to you December the 28th of last year. It had 18 items that were discussed in the meeting. And you said, thanks, I'll review and prepare a memo. And I don't care because we're past that. But the one thing I'm going to say before Greg makes his motion. When all this started, Jeffrey and I, all we wanted was a cleaned up manual. We can't use them. We need it cleaned up. We need it easier to read, and we need it to cover new things.
And
Which
I
government
don't
needs
mean
new
to talk,
things.
I don't mean to talk over you, but I think the new one that we have and that we finally got is cleaned up. It's better.
You read it?
Yes, I have read it. Jeffrey, I can read it.
You read it, Warren?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, guy,
Then read
can
it.
I make a motion that we pass this with these changes you just talked about?
Yes, that's the pleasure of the board.
Can we do that? Everybody will be satisfied with that?
I'm
What
not gonna be no.
about this, where the board members hung out for this harassment? I mean, that's included in and we're not personnel, we're board members.
Your opinion on this, Mr. Gibson?
That's on 170.
What about us disconnecting people's water if they get ugly in a meeting or something?
Why would we do that?
Well, it says we can in the handbook.
We've never disconnected.
It
Somebody out
says we
retaliation.
can. It wasn't in the previous handbook, it's been added.
Yeah, here it is, and right there, the first paragraph.
So, in other words, the retaliation is in there, and I did not see
So
that.
why
You can
don't
punish
you
somebody for
give us a
disagreeing.
scenario on what you're talking about?
Well, it's in the handbook.
Well, you also have to read it because it does say by board member. But let's talk about it. It says on account of an employee's race, color, age, religion, national origin, sex, disability, Vietnam or Vietnam era status, the filing of workers' compensation claim, or any other candidate protected by law. It's just saying exactly what the law says now. That neither any employee, board member, coworker, everybody's described as subject to that same criteria. No board members are excluded from discriminatory conduct as to an employee. I don't know what's wrong with that.
I don't either, we should be involved. We're responsible. We should be. Any other comments? Any other comment on it?
It doesn't bother you that 14 topics were totally removed and not discussed anywhere else in the manual? Mike?
I thought you talking, Tom.
No, not you.
What topics were removed, or?
Driving violations, penalties for driving violations, taking district vehicles home, taking district vehicles out of district, vehicle allowance, pregnancy, unemployment insurance, safety equipment, signs and posters, government signs and posters that are supposed to get reporting incidents and accidents, medical services reimbursed, job-related injuries, light duty and robbery on premises were all totally removed.
Was that because that we all wanted to make the manual smaller, is that was eliminating some
It just went
things?
away, the manual didn't get smaller.
It didn't get small.
No, but it did, they did add some newer things, like more about cell phones. When you're working around equipment, don't be wearing headphones that you can hear. I mean, there are good things added. But it bothers me that 14 whole topics are gone. I mean, if you have an injury or an accident, shouldn't you be told ahead of time what the procedures are? Or even if one guy gets hurt, the guy beside him needs to know what the procedures are. I don't know.
Isn't that the discretion of the manager and the supervisor?
Why was it in the first place when they
I don't know.
if it wasn't important? I just think that when we started this, it's turned into a giant fiasco. That's what I think. I think we're better off with the one we got right now. But that's all my opinion.
So that's what you're suggesting, is go back to the one we have now?
I suggest
Stay with
just-
the one we have now?
But I really don't want to do anything right now. I'm sick of reading it. I'm sick of reading it. And I'm sick of reading along and finding weird things in here. And every time we get a copy back, I must have 8 manuals that I've printed every time we get
Well, I
revisions.
know, I got tired of hearing it, because that's all I ever wrong.
And things change, they just keep changing. They go one way, then they go the other way, then they go back. Telling us that we're dealing with. I mean,
Well, I understand.
and when I took the new one, the latest one, before this last two, I don't know, last one, and I cut up our old manual and taped on the other side to see where the changes were. This was the pain in the rear, because they're all shuffled too. They're not even in the same sequence. So, I don't know, I'm sick of it. I think we're better off with the one we have. So, up to the board, I won't vote to the new one.
$20,000 later.
That was not approved. You threw that at us last month.
Yes.
It's when I got irritated and went out and told this how I did it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it shouldn't have cost us a penny.
How can the lawyers cost? Their time.
Did we approve any of that?
What we approved,
But,
still working on the
no,
contract.
wait a minute.
You
Yeah,
approved it,
last-
working. I don't want to start this argument with you again.
I'm gonna make one statement.
Okay.
Last month in the meeting, you kept referring to Jeffrey and that cost you $20,000.
I said one time, Barbara.
And you kept waving your hand to us. Mike, I didn't approve to make anything. I didn't ask for it to go to Blakeman. We were still working on it. Actually, I was waiting for the stuff to come back from
So
China.
the only way to make you happy is let you write it.
No, not really.
Okay. Because you're not a lawyer, neither am I.
Did I claim to be?
No, ma'am.
But I can take paper from one against paper with the other.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, I must scrap over.
Well, we need to do something.
Yes,
We need
we
to
do.
do something.
We beat this dead horse too.
Yes, ma'am.
Or just go back to the old manual for right now.
There's no rush.
No rush, we're operating on the old manual right now.
What do you think, guys?
It's the board's decision.
It is. Thank you. We either accept the new one, or we vote to show it the trash can, and go back to the old one, and take what we had.
And we spent $20,000 making a new one?
Close.
Mercy. Be a shame
No,
to just throw it away.
We didn't. Somebody else did. The board submitted it.
Well, who else would it have been then?
Well, if it's not approved, it's not us.
When, I don't want to get into that argument, I would say when you asked them to make changes to get back with us, that costs money. Everything costs money.
I do understand that.
Need a motion?
Make a motion, we go continue with the old manual, we get a better idea.
I said it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Well, it's just a shame to spend that kind of money and then not get any.
It is taxpayers' money.
Good, vote. Good.
Bless you.
Thank you.
They had on the news the other day, that's the wrong thing to do.
That what?
That's the wrong thing to do, to try to suppress a sneeze.
It's a diversion.
Perfect timing, huh?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
You're in favor, you made the motion.
The old manual.
Oh, the manual.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Tom? All opposed? Okay.
Yep.
Motion carried.
Excuse me, during the diversion, what is the exact motion?
Motion that Jeffrey made, you care to read, tell her, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I made the motion that we return to the old policy manual until we get a better idea.
But we're gonna continue to work on the new.
Well, I mean, we can
Sure.
set up a committee. but I mean, we don't have to
Thank
spend any money, we can just make the change.
Right, it's already in effect now until.
You don't throw the old one away.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, the new one away.
we're not throwing the new one away, we still got it.
Right.
We're just gonna run out of the old one.
The old one's already in effect.
It's in effect.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 11, report on GLO project, Mr. Thomas.
We're doing good. We've got the structure in the hole, we started backfilling everything. Started moving mats out, we're almost finished.
Sounds good, trying to get out of there. I know it's difficult to get out, it's difficult to get in, I can imagine it's difficult to get out.
It's been a chore.
I imagine so.
As the county budget said.
Where are we on the money? We got any money? How far, I mean, if we got any money from GLO Pro?
We've got some, Jeffrey, but the others in the pipeline with paperwork and, I mean, the freeze and this and that and other, and all these other kinds of. I
How much do we still have out?
Basically, they owe us, I think the last bill we sent them was $457,000. Is what they owe us right now.
Is that current?
All right, and when are we gonna start these other projects?
Basically, it's one of those things, like this policy manual, it changes every day.
Okay, I can understand that, but
Yeah.
what's in the Tuesday, do y'all mind if I ask what's in the future on this project?
Basically, they're still trying to acquire the property and stuff behind the school. I heard that they, and this is the county, it's their money, and then they give it to us. So basically, they're trying to make a deal with Yale to purchase the property from him behind the school, and they're still working with Malcolm to buy stuff from him. And Malcolm.
You're taking that to what, executive session every time, I noticed.
Yes, they are. So basically,
I heard they made a deal with Yale and they're still working out with Malcolm, and they're really, really close to making a deal with him. That's what I heard.
Okay,
So that we can proceed.
This is Jill.
yes.
How much is this?
I think one of them is 1.6 and the other one's about 1.8.
But there's two separate because but
One is a ditch behind the school and the other one's the ditch going through town that's gonna be concrete blocks.
I understand.
From my understanding, they got all the property from the people on the concrete block going through town. Basically, we met with the engineers yesterday, and they're getting ready to, they're putting the specs together to go out for bid for the boxes and the mats and all that other kind of stuff.
On the concrete blocks, I understand at a certain grade you gotta have to use concrete.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes, they're basically part of, that's why they had to acquire property, so it can be cut to a 3-to-1 slope.
Okay, I mean, I'm just.
Sure, I'll answer any question you got.
I'm just curious, I understand that's the.
Yes, basically, that's one of the reasons they acquired property, except by the old Camarera store right here, that basically is straight up and down, is right against there, so we'll probably put some vinyl sheet pile in there, that way it's right up against the store, and then it comes back out to a 3-to-1 slope. And the sewer line has got to be lowered in there. TxDOT has come back and said if we wanted to put the blocks in there right away, then basically we have to put guardrails up on the highway and stuff. And there's no money in the project for that.
What we're talking about is behind the old Franklin's grocery.
I call it Camarera the Franklin Gym.
Miss Franklin. Yeah, didn't want to undermine their foundation.
That's been a problem forever.
Yes.
And it's got a big concrete wall there where they just put riprap up there. And I talked to our guy that he uses an aggregate that's got fibers and stuff in it. If he could come and just spray what was there and make a concrete wall, and he's afraid it would slide. So we're probably gonna have to take that stuff out and put vinyl sheets there.
But, and go behind,
All the way to the park, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes to Chestnut.
Right, starts at 1406 and goes
you
all the
know
way.
what that says something?
No. Basically, whenever you get behind that trailer park and through Duffy's and everything else, there wasn't enough money to go that far, so they stopped at Chestnut.
Now, we're gonna clean, or have thought about cleaning between, from the park to the school property.
Yes, we're looking at that, and on our own dime, I think we're gonna have to probably, since they're increasing the culverts everywhere through there, bringing more water that way, I think we might have to put some more, another pipe underneath the wall. That way it continues on, and then the ditch is pretty open other than that.
Well, it makes sense, if you have ditch bigger above and ditch bigger below, you need to.
The wall's gonna be a hang up, so basically, just like we did on Franzine and added another pipe there, we need to look into it.
Okay, we added a pipe on our dime, we can't
Yeah.
help the county, can we?
I could ask them, Jeffrey, they paid for all the pipeline, the airport and everything else. They've been pretty cooperative, but I haven't, it's not part of the project, so I haven't asked them yet. I haven't got that.
Well, I mean, we helped them on that Ramsey thing with our dime.
Yeah, we did. They bought the pipe and
Yeah.
we put it in, and I can ask them to do that again.
Did you see that out by the airport?
Well, yeah, and I've seen it before, I mean, the same.
I mean, with a flat valve.
Yeah, same thing they had before.
They never had a flat valve.
They had some kind of flat valve that wouldn't work.
Okay.
It didn't work, yeah, I've seen it, I saw Ariel shot it. Well, he had shots at it.
You Yeah. Didn't know if you drove out there with.
So we're hoping that, they're gonna get all this wrapped up, like I said, they had it in executive session. Malcolm's come back now, and he wants us to fill the ditch in along the road, and, because he wants to put houses in there, and now that means if we do that, then the pipes from the road will have to be extended over into our ditch, where it was open channel before, and things like that. And he also wanted some guarantees on drainage and things like that. I think this is what the county was discussing, and actually, they haven't told me anything. They do an executive sessions, they've been dealing with them directly, and I pretty much stayed out of it. They're, let them talk with one voice.
It's their deal. All right, any more on GLO project? All right, we can move on to drainage, Dan.
We've got the 60-footer working on Spindletop. We crossed over 65 to the south side on the east side of the ditch. That's Mark Armature property. The new FECON, we worked on ditch 2E. We finished up with it, and another one on Hosky, 2E1 on McMahon property. And we brought that machine in for oil change and cleanup. And since I printed this report out, we've moved that machine to Highway 65 on Clint Fincher property. The 30-footer, we finished up with Sand Gully, and now he's working on ditch 3G, which is north of 65 in Monroe City, and it's Skip Hamilton property.
Excuse me a minute, on the Sand Gully, y'all just, how far did you go all the way through?
Well, we got to
It goes into Jefferson County, right?
and the ditch gets deeper and wider, so we'll get a long reach and go on to all the way to Spindletop. But
Oh, okay.
but
Didn't that cross through Jefferson County, or didn't it? Or
it
is
does,
still
yeah. It's
somewhere?
in Jefferson County. Our district goes into Jefferson County.
Okay, that's all I was saying, yeah. I want to make sure of that.
Then the 329, we put the bucket on that machine, and we jumped around doing pipe jobs. We installed two for the city of Anahuac by their sewer plant. And then we also did one on Spindletop by the Winnie Airport. The county bought that pipe and put that flat gate right there by the airport. We brought that machine in for cleanup and repairs. We're waiting on parts for that cutter motor, but that operator's been driving the 18-wheeler. He's also been operating a 308 on other projects. The Long Reach 50-foot is working on Bad East Gully, east of 562 and south of Carrington Road, and we cut the east side of that ditch. The Dozer 6 is on the GLO project. The 3 was working on Spindletop, working with the 60-foot FECON, and we crossed it over onto the south side. He's on the same spot as the 60-footer. Drainage crews are doing their thing. They're helping with the haul truck, tie downs. They're working on fence jobs, and they're working on these pipe jobs. The spray crews, they've used the 308 to cut ditches. They're working along, well, he's through now since this report. He was working along Francine Road by the airport.
Yes.
And then the tractor has been mowing in preparation for spray season. The Cat 308 right now is working on that crossing that for Kent Taylor in Anahuac. We got a temporary easement to fix a road that was washed away here in the storm. We're working on that today, and we started on it yesterday, and some of that slipped off in there, so we're doing something different today, but that's where that machine is.
The south side of Fairview, north of Battle, has a real bad sandy ditch in there. Has Middleton Ranch approached you yet?
No,
Well, we need to put some downpipe in there, and it's our policy, they furnish fiber for me. I'm gonna get Caleb Cooper, the ranch, the guard.
I like Caleb, yeah, he's a good kid.
right there, it's sliding. with all the rain and all that, we got that happening all over the district, but there's a spot there, but that, the type of soil right there is bad. And that, and that hurt that
Like
was-
beach sand.
Yeah, yeah. We need to go all the way through with that one. Just clean
If they
it
buy,
up.
if they'll buy the downspouts, we'll put them in.
Yep, that's what it is.
And we need to, when they ask our opinion, it is my opinion that we put more than 20 foot, at least 2 joints in
Yeah,
there. Make it long enough.
You have to, on those, when that ditch is so big, you have to.
yeah, because your top ends up with nothing, you know. It ends up 8 foot or 6 foot, it's not big enough for a truck to even pass, you know, or mower or anything else. You're right, you know, Rick, 'cause you have to get your top big.
I talked to Caleb every now and then, we got to do it.
Well, you have talked to him?
Not for this, but he lets me know, he knows to get with me and stuff like that, so.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have him call you again.
Okay.
Now, spindle top, I would like to say, Danny, that's the nicest it's ever looked in my lifetime. I've never seen it like that clean. And y'all working on the east side now, on 65?
Yes,
Because I saw you did some on the west side,
yes.
Started.
And
which it's been done before.
I think we did the west side on the north side yet, but
Oh,
there's a
okay.
stretch in there that we're gonna do.
Right, that little piece to clean that up? Okay. And on the east side, you get farther down, there's some fence along the right of way and everything. I don't know if they're supposed to have a fence there or not.
Well, when we get to that, we'll deal with it.
One thing at a time.
We had gone through there a few years back, and somewhere in there, there's some fence that was built after we got out.
Okay.
So we know it's in there, we just haven't made it to it yet, but we'll.
It sure messes up the equipment when you get into that fence, you know, and it's hidden like that. But I would like to say that I think cleaning that thing will help the drainage and wind.
We're cleaning a little wider,
Right.
sometimes from the ditch towards the property, a little
Right.
wider than just the machine,
Right.
and it helps the man around us, so, in the future for spraying them, so we're widening them out a little bit.
But I've never seen it clean like that. It's awesome. Thank you.
It looks good.
And it's gonna help the drainage, I believe, in the winter, because Spindletop's kind of bad situation anyway on drainage, so. I know it takes some time going over those big ditches like Mayhall and Spindletop. It takes forever
Yeah,
to get it done. Thank you, Danny. Is there anything else?
I'm done,
All right,
thank you.
Now, are we working on the problem that on Brown Foundation?
No, basically, we met with them, and they are getting permits for it. So basically, the Brown Foundation submitted permits to get
So what
the
do we do?
permits.
What do we do?
Nothing.
I
There's
mean,
nothing.
what do we gotta do? What is the problem?
Basically, I told them that we agreed before that if they would get a permit, that we would go in there and help them repair the thing.
I'd love to help dig it, you know how I feel.
And
We just need
basically,
to hurry so we can go.
they said that they were gonna buy the dirt and actually to where we could rebuild the thing back, and I told them they buy the dirt, that we supply a dozer or whatever, and spread it for them,
So it's in the works.
yeah, yes, they came down and Mr. Goodwinson was here with me, Mike couldn't. Yeah, remember?
Right before Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, me and you and, the engineer met with them and basically make sure everything was legal and everything and, told them, so they're trying to get some permits. I tried to get a nationwide 3 just in the little part by the ditch, and Corps wanted a full-blown permit again. So anyway, they hired a company or a firm out of Houston to get these permits for them. So they're working on it.
Okay, what about the new FEMA projects y'all are working on?
The new FEMA projects, basically, we're still in the process of submitting everything to FEMA for their approval. Basically, we've gone out
What do
to.
you plan to do with the projects?
I don't think there's really that much. All of it was pretty much preparation and everything else during the storm. As far as, we didn't have a bunch of bridges washed away this time or anything.
Now, what with your county meeting, I mean, you applied for what, $6 million for Mayhaw?
That's still different. That's another GLO type deal. That's the governor's recovery plan. Basically,
What do you plan to do that?
basically that will go to the GLO as a request, and it's a toss-up whether you get it or not. It's just a request.
But don't you have to specify what you're gonna do on Mayhaw, or just ask for money for Mayhaw? I'm trying to figure out what the plan is.
Basically, we asked for Mayhaw to repair it and clean it and so on and so forth. So basically, we put that together and submitted it to the county, and it came out and submitted it to the GLO.
Which would help Winnie's drainage also.
Yes.
Right.
And the same with Turtle Mine.
Turtle Bio, actually, the county put that one on there and submitted it to dredge it and
Well, it's a combination of you and CLC and D, that ought to be fun.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you that the county's the one that put it on. They basically, all the requests that I sent to them, they took it and they put in what they wanted to.
And then the watersheds, are you doing studies or?
Basically, I asked for money through the GLO that we spent our own money on the first watershed. So basically, I asked for money in there to do the drainage studies on the other 9.
Well, don't we have studies on most of them?
They're so old, they're not, there's like 3 studies that were done, and these were like way back, old stuff.
So, a study is $1 million.
No, a study was $50,000 if you request.
Well, that watershed, I mean, this was in the paper, and I was confused. Okay, the watershed, county and Trinity Bay, 10 million, and you're saying 10 watersheds, and all you're gonna do is study them.
Well, basically, you have to have a study to tell you what you need to do to, whether it's dig it bigger or put pipe.
So it's 50,000 for the study,
50,000
and
for
another
the study, yes.
900,000 per watershed. Not the way they explained it.
Yeah,
but the
I understand, but that's basically what it,
I'm good.
yes, basically, so we requested money for the studies and put money in there, what I just estimated it would cost to dig it out or to replace bridges, pipes, whatever, so.
And then the 11 CDBG grants.
11 CDBG grants.
Lori put in the paper, TBCD has applied for 11 CDBG grants. It was in the same article with all the FEMA stuff.
Did this come out of the county meeting?
Yes, Sarah Cerrone, who is the chairman of this county comprehensive drainage committee, this is the report she presented to Commissioners Court, and I copied it exactly as to how she presented it, so. And the meetings aren't open to the media, so all I can go on is what she said.
Like I say, the last one was canceled, but because it was this Tuesday, so.
Maybe you need to go ask Sarah what your 11 applications are.
Well, basically, I think it's not CDBG grant, I think it's through the GLO thing that we're talking about, through the governor recovery deal. 11 of them, she's correct, that basically, there was a total of 37 projects, and 11 of them were Trinity Bays. I asked for a new sewer plant in Hancomer, I asked for a new sewer plant in Oak Island, I asked to dredge to Mayhaw, and drainage studies and other things like that, water and sewer rehabilitation money and so on and so forth. So I don't know that they haven't called it CDBG. The only CDBG that we had was the $350,000 to do the sewer line.
Well, I read that in the paper.
So yes, 11 of the 37 projects were Trinity Bays that we requested. That doesn't mean that anybody's going to get it.
I totally understand.
You're competing against Houston and everybody else in the whole state.
I understand.
You know, it's something we need to consider. I don't know if y'all noticed the building across the river, and then pretty soon they're gonna jump the bridge. When they jump the bridge, we can't handle it. How are we gonna get ready?
I think that's what that new sewer plant in Hancomer and different things.
Exactly, that's why we're doing the study right now to see what we need.
To get a good,
And the water plant, I mean,
It's coming.
If they jump the bridge, our water plant and like won't handle it, I mean.
Yeah, well.
Can we tie 2 together and make it happen? I mean, we gotta, and I know this is, we're looking too far in the damn.
But
No,
no,
but
we need
you're
to
doing
do
it right
it.
now. Therefore, we just paid Allen Plummer and Associates to do a study on the sewer. That way we can make sure that we have enough. If you remember correctly, we asked them to see if there was any way we could expand the existing wetlands until actually they started building homes to give us the revenue to build the new plants.
Well, I mean, of course, the need over there, that's a big thing,
Oh, yeah.
and they're within a bridge of Jeopardy.
Yeah, yeah. It's coming.
And I
We've
mean,
started that, yes, we
and
have.
I just wonder.
And
when
HEB
you jump
can
that
gladly
bridge,
jump it.
Can our water plants and everything?
Yeah, we have the capacity, and Mike was just telling me, he pumps about 800,000 gallons a day normally, and my understanding that what Anahuac talked about, they're gonna fire their plant off here in a couple of weeks.
Next week.
Next week. So basically, they get off of us, that means that we're gonna be pumping, what, about 500?
Yeah, they take about 120 gallons a minute, so
I
yeah.
know, but if
They got about 5 or 600.
Mike, at 80% though, when you're pumping 80%, don't you have to have another plant or something?
Well, we're pumping right now, 800,000, our plant's a 2.5 MGD plant, so we've got a lot of room there.
Plenty of room.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
When he talked about the Andover sewer, do we have a board policy about these giant subdivisions coming in? Do they have to pay for the expansion of those plants, or do a MUD themselves?
No.
Do we have, I mean, don't you think maybe we have?
The county has a subdivision policy, from my understanding, that the Trinity Bay adopted the drainage plan.
But it doesn't cover our water and sewer.
Basically, in all the agreements that Guy and I put together, it's in the agreement that says that Trinity Bay will not pay to expand the system on your behalf.
I
Correct?
just wondered, don't we need maybe a written blade for some of these big ones?
I believe it's in the subdivision plan, and basically, this is what we're meeting with the county on. It's not just the drainage, it's subdivision plan, it's the drainage
Will you
plan.
check next month and bring that back to us?
Check what?
What it does say in there about our water and sewer?
I think it's on our website.
Next month in our meeting, can we talk about roads? I mean, not now, we can't, can we have a thing in our meeting where we talk about roads?
Okay. Like,
Well, I mean, just general conversation.
sure, we're having a general conversation on the road right now.
As I'm driving down the road and I cross over where the HEB is and the bridge,
Yeah.
oh, damn, I'm so curious.
Oh, it's coming.
If we drop, when they jump that bridge, can we have it? I mean, we don't have the money to begin to have it.
Yeah.
They already done.
But I mean, you don't see it yet, I mean,
It's coming.
That's what I'm saying, we just hired Allen Plummer and Associates to do a study to tell us, look at the whole area and tell us what we need and what we need for the future.
Ahead of the game.
You can't say, well, now, if somebody.
Yes, sir, they are. Yes, sir. What was the deal on Smith Point water line? Have you got any update on that?
Basically, the Corps came back again like they normally do and said that they wanted a full-blown study and all this other kind of stuff. And we've gone back to them, that basically the original one was put under a nationwide 12.
Yes, sir.
And basically, we've contacted them back and they supplied a bunch more information to show them it's eligible for a nationwide 12.
Because that's another project that we had discussed lately.
Yes, basically, so anyway, it's still tied up with the Corps, just like the most of the stuff with the county.
All right.
The county, the Corps is waiting to hold it.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to bring that up. All right. I guess if we continue, no more discussion there, we'll move on to Mike on water and sewer issues. David, sorry, David.
We responded to 12 pool and golf for non-payment, 10 customer problems, 3 meter changeouts, 2 meter leaks, 2 main leaks, 48 grinder calls, 10 sewer stoppages, and 7 grinder pumps replaced. Also, we've started laying line out on Burrow White Road, and also have a pipe in for the Abigail's property project and the new veterinarian project.
That's what's in the back of the yard here? Okay. Sorry about that, David. Trying to cut you out there.
That's okay.
With the situation, North here, and I got a call, and that lady, her mother owned the house, mother died, and she's been living in the house for 50 years. And all of a sudden, you know, now that she's taking over, she's got to pay a $200 fee.
Yes, basically, our policy is right now that if you change and it doesn't have a deposit on it, you're required to put a new deposit down.
Yeah. I mean, even that situation where
Yes.
she's been living there with her mother. for
We
50
have it
years.
all the time. Somebody dies in the family and somebody inherited, and our policy is that basically if it changes names, then they have to put the deposit down.
So it's better off if they don't have the name change then.
Yeah.
Unless,
I can't say that, but I'm just, you know.
Yeah.
it is at our
Do what you
discretion,
have to do.
it is at our discretion as a board, if we put that on the agenda, could we waive the fee?
You can change your policy.
I think it is a discretion.
I thought it was where we didn't have to change the policy.
When we changed that.
Am I wrong or right?
I don't know. Somebody,
When we change that policy, it's gotta be real specific about how we change it.
Right.
I think every situation is different, and whenever we talk about legal adjustments, y'all basically, y'all empowered me to just make the decision to do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
So on the lead policy, so if you want me to make a decision and just tell the lady that, you know, since you're just transferring it, you don't have to do it, I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah, they don't have much.
Well,
There's three
why
of us,
don't you just
three of
leave
us
it in
in
her
there
name?
got the same call.
It's not in her name, it's in somebody else's.
Our mother's name, I know I got a call to.
And that would be the other thing, she's leaving it in her name, and
Well,
she doesn't
she
have
tried
to.
to apply for the senior citizen thing.
Yeah,
that's
Right
right.
now, we brought this up.
And that throws it into the other part, of it, like David was saying, that basically, what brought it up is she came in to get the senior citizen discount, and since it wasn't in her name, and she's got to show her driver's license, then she was not able to get the $200, to get the senior citizen discount.
I'd like to see her get the senior citizen discount and not pay the fee, but I don't know how to
Me
do
too.
that.
Personally, that discount, I mean, it's nice for people to get it, but for the office, it's a pain.
I know.
Am I correct? No comment, I know. I mean, it's
But they earned it.
99% of it in there is those,
I know.
1% they want it
Well,
cheap.
there you go, husband, you not enjoying that senior citizen discount, you mean?
Whatever.
I know, yeah.
But you know, you got somebody that's living at the beach, married, but they still have their meter in their name, they're completely crazy.
They have the kids.
Holy cow, because they had to come in with a certificate. It's a lot of phone calls.
There's
I
always,
get a lot of phone calls. I can't imagine what they get in the office.
there's always exceptions.
Yes. I know you get paid for it 10 hours, but it's still out of money.
We still didn't answer Jerry's question, do you want to do that on his discretion?
I don't want to change the deposit because that's too much money.
Yes.
I think, you know, that rule is that rule. But on the senior citizen exemption,
That's up to y'all.
Give it-
And you have the same thing with people filling up their swimming pools, and they won't come back, and they wanted to give them a break on the sewer, and basically our policy is no right.
you're right, and I'm wrong.
Okay.
You make a rule, you stick by it 100%, done, I'll shut up.
Be consistent, as Mr. Goodson
Be
said a while ago,
consistent.
because if not, they cuss me either way.
Be consistent or it'll
That was
create a
one
bigger
question,
mess.
that was one question I had, but, you know, about all the water leaks we've had in town, people's water bills are gonna be huge.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Basically, our policy is right now that basically David will send somebody out to their house and that they show us where they repaired the leak with the receipt and everything else, we'll give them an adjustment. If they cannot produce or show us that, hey, I just ran my water all week, you know, I'm sorry, you ran your water all week, but he verifies it.
That would probably be good to put in the paper.
Basically, that's our policy.
There again,
Okay.
you got people that had to fix leaks that don't have receipts, they had stuff.
Well, I mean, if they can come out.
Everything has been sold out.
I know.
They're part of
David,
it.
you want to address that?
As long as when we go out, they can show us where they dug up and fixed the leak or show us the repair,
Right.
where it's good, I mean.
Every case is individual.
Because it was hard to get a receipt.
I already,
sold out.
Okay.
I had
It's just
one,
gonna be there. Right.
I had one already come and try to get a adjustment because they cut it off and left it. That don't work.
Yeah.
It's gotta be fixed.
Yeah, because we were up from nearly over double the amount of water we pumped. Where did it go?
Yeah.
It went somewhere.
And one thing I try to stress on everybody is they only get one leak adjustment a year. So
Once
they need
every
to-
12 months.
That's a year, ain't it?
No, it's like an calendar
Some calendar years.
Right.
Debatable.
I'll leave you in this business tell it.
Thank you.
So they need to make sure they have everything repaired when they bring this stuff in.
All right, and that's a good point to put, you know, 'cause it is gonna happen. I mean, it's going to. And there's still water leaks now.
Right.
They still haven't fixed it since the ice storm. There's still water running out. We're still pumping. We're able to cut down a little now.
Yes,
But we're still keeping it where we don't have to have a boil water notice. Is that true?
that's correct.
Okay, so we're on the good side of it. It's getting better every day. And thanks to y'all working all the time, it's getting better. Finding them and reporting them and fixing them, you know. Because we use double the chemical, double the labor, double everything when you figure all this in. It costs us quite a bit for the water running out on the ground. You know, and you got to figure that out. I appreciate it. All right, Mike, it's your report.
Yes, sir. And at both the water plants, we purchased and installed new chlorine dioxide generators. The generators that were replaced were original equipment from when the plants were built. The reason we did this is because parts were no longer available due to the manufacturer had gone out of business with these generators. At the West Water Plant, we removed sludge from inside the sedimentation basins. At the Circle D lift station, we had a back truck remove debris from the wetway due to the pumps getting stopped up and tripping out. The pumps were reinstalled, the lift station and tested, and tests were performed to establish the operating head pressure of these pumps. We found that the pumps are pumping at the high end of their capability. We're gonna, next time we pull them, they get stopped up, we're gonna go ahead and replace the wear rings on these to see if that will increase their pumping capacity.
Right, there's something wrong there.
There's something wrong there, yes, sir. At the county line lift station, we have ordered 2 new pumps and a control panel due to their poor condition. Replacing this equipment will eliminate the issues that we're having in this area. And then, last thing I've got at Riceland Hospital and Stedman lift stations, we're trying a new style pump. The new pump is a better design to pump the contents of these lift stations than the original pumps. And thus far, we probably have had them in for 2 weeks. We haven't had any issues with the new pumps whatsoever, but they're kind of on a trial basis at this time.
Testing it out. Well, it may be more efficient, it may not be. And I also understand, Jerry mentioned to me the other day that you had trouble again with that same populator. They spun out because of the sludge and stuff in there. That's the same one we repaired before.
We replaced those in October of 2015 with brand new equipment.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, those things have a coupler underneath where the 2 shafts come together and they're keyways right there. So we don't know exactly what happened or what caused that. We noticed it whenever we were in the set basin cleaning them out.
Right.
So what we're gonna go back in there is make another repair on it whenever Corey gets available. Hopefully, I was just talking to Tom about that, it's probably gonna be next week.
But if there's so much pressure, they having a hard time turning, sharing the keyway, can you put some kind of water jets in there to loosen it up?
Those areas right there don't have that ability. Those,
Oh, I didn't know.
yeah, those 2 chambers right there are kind of a controlled area where the flocculation develops. So you don't want to disturb that.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out a solution. We
Yeah,
fixed this the other day. And
Those big paddles, there's just a lot of torque on those paddles turning like that through that water constantly.
it was expensive and it's gonna
It was
be
very
expensive again, right?
Exactly.
And I just bring it to the notice of the board, they had a repeat problem, and I wanted to make sure we attend to it, so we get eliminated.
We'll get in there next week and we'll try to determine what may have caused that issue.
Right.
One more question concerning growth. How far are we from tying the 2 plants together down out there?
Basically, we're running the Vortex right now, so which is just an Oak Island road, and basically it's stuck.
And how much would that cost to tie?
Basically, you're talking what,
I mean, now would it increase the production, I guess, that was gonna have?
You don't need it right now, and
Well, I know we don't need it right
You
now.
let
I mean,
people do it, pay for it.
Future.
that's the way, Dorothy's exactly right. Other people has been expanding their paying for it. So basically, otherwise, you're looking at, 10 miles.
Okay, I mean, I'm just
I
curious.
can give you an exact distance around here.
Well, no, and then the next question is, would it increase production in both plants? I mean, would each plant?
Well, in this situation, no, it wouldn't have helped. You were pumping everything you could pump here, and you were pumping everything you could pump over here in the freeze. Because we dropped down to 25 PSI on both sides. So basically, we couldn't, it wouldn't have the technology.
I wasn't asking about the freeze, I was asking about.
Yeah, if you ever got to the point that you needed more water, you could, it would. But at this time, it wouldn't have helped us any.
All right, Mike, is that, do you have anything to add?
No, sir, that's all that I have.
At this time, I would like to find out if we needed to go into any executive session.
It's
Mr.
on your
Yeah,
agenda.
I think Mr. Chad's got a report on the
Right.
case for Mr. Wynn.
So at this time, we will.
About 7 miles.
We'll go into executive session.